Hi, I'm naturopath Catherine Maslin, and in this webinar we're going to be talking about green smoothies. So green smoothies are one of the most nutritious things that you can have in your diet and something that's really easy to prepare, and I often get a lot of questions about it. So in this webinar I'm going to talk about what they are and kind of what benefits they have and how you make them. So I'll talk about kind of the different ways that you can make them, the different health benefits, the different greens that you can use, and I'll share a few of my favorite recipe ideas with you too. So it's not going to be a long webinar, maybe 10 or 15 minutes, just to teach you the basics of green smoothie making. So why green smoothies? So you're thinking, if I'm going to drink this big glass of greens, what is the actual benefit? So they're pretty good for you. I mean, and the reason being is that greens are really difficult to get in your diet in huge amounts. So even if you're eating heaps of salads and spinach and things, it's actually really difficult to chew that up and get the full nutrition out of it. So there's a lot of cellulose and things in there. And the green smoothie actually allows you to blend it and break down the plant walls so that it ends up being like a liquid. And that means you're going to get all of the nutrition, the full nutrition out of those greens more than if you were chewing it. So it's a great thing to have in the diet. So green smoothies are very alkalizing as well. They're really anti-inflammatory. So foods are obviously going to be good for any type of inflammatory conditions like period pain or arthritis or autoimmune disease or migraines. But generally we want to be alkaline in the body anyway. So being alkaline means our pH is kind of a little bit higher, and that actually allows our cells and tissues and organs to function at their peak. So I was talking about them being a great source of nutrition and particularly minerals. So green smoothies are really high in things like iron and calcium and magnesium. The nutrients are really absorbable, which we spoke about. They're quick and easy. They're great to have on the go. Like I was saying, iron, calcium, magnesium. Chlorophyll as well. So chlorophyll is a really essential thing in our diets, and it comes from green foods. And chlorophyll is what plants use to kind of make energy from sunlight, and chlorophyll in humans is really good for oxygenating your blood. It's very alkalizing and cleansing. So green smoothie is a great thing to have as part of a detoxification ritual. So basically all a green smoothie is a blend of greens with fruits or other veggies into a health drink. So it's not really rocket science. There's nothing really special about it. So I'm going to show you how you can make it really easily. So which greens are best? So we've got spinach, of course, baby spinach, silver beet, chard, kale, beetroot tops, dark lettuce, rocket Egyptian spinach. Basically any edible green leafy vegetable or thing can be used as long as it's edible. It's going to be good for you in some sense, and it's good if you're having green smoothies regularly to actually mix this up and have a bit of a blend of different things. So different greens taste different. Like something like baby spinach is usually a good place to start because it doesn't have a strong flavor. Kale, although it's quite kind of tough, also doesn't have a really strong flavor, whereas things like your kind of full fully grown spinach and silver beet and beetroot tops and stuff are a little bit more bitter. So it just depends on, I guess, how hardcore you are and how used you are of having those green kind of foods in your diet. So all you need is a high-speed blender. You could use a food processor, however, if that's all you had. You could use something like a NutriBullet, one of those type of little blenders or similar. So as long as it's got, a capacity to really break stuff down, it's going to work a treat. So if you have a bit of a crappier blender, what can sometimes happen is you end up with a bit of a chunky smoothie, and it's just not fantastic. You're not going to be loving green smoothies with that. So you do need a relatively high-speed blender. So I actually have a Vitamix. That's a picture of a Vitamix right there on the screen, and Vitamix is an extremely high power blender that can blend almost anything. There are a lot of other brands now coming out that are a little bit more cost effective than a Vitamix and have a similar kind of result. So it is worthwhile investing in a good quality blender if you're planning to do smoothies and superfood things. So here's the crux of it. Basically, a basic green smoothie recipe is just fruit, greens, water and ice. Okay, so it doesn't have to be complicated. So what I like to start with is about 2 pieces of fruit, around 2 handfuls of greens. You could even start with a little bit less if you were kind of working your way up to it, and then water and ice. And it depends if you prefer it thinner or thicker as to how much water you put in it. There's no exact science behind it really, and then you just blend the crap out of it until it's smooth, and then you drink it. So you will find over time that you'll be able to handle more and more greens. So you can start off slow and just have, one handful of greens and then work your way up, and it depends on the type of greens too as to how, I guess, greeny it's going to taste and what different things that you mix it with. So if you really want to pump it up, as well as that basic recipe, you can then throw in some optional extras. So chia seeds are one of the things that I use really commonly, and chia seeds are an amazing source of omega-3, but they're also really good for your gut. So they're really high in mucilage, or like a sliminess. So chia seeds are best if you pre-soak them. So if you just put like a couple of tablespoons in a little bit of water overnight, you'll see in the morning it makes like a chia gel, and that gel you just throw into your smoothies and that'll blend through really easily. Flax seeds can be used in the same way. I would pre-soak them and then blend them through. Again, they're an amazing source of omega-3, but also really good for hormonal balance. Maca is a superfood from South America, and maca is really good for hormonal and endocrine balance. So I recommend it to a lot of my patients that have, you know, polycystic ovarian syndrome, or reproductive problems, or fertility, or stress, adrenal deficiency, stuff like that. Maca is really good for. Cacao is another superfood. So like cocoa, which is the cooked version of cacao, cacao is really high in antioxidants and magnesium. It's also a little bit energizing, so you might not want to have this one kind of before bed. It can sometimes keep you awake a little bit. Asahi is another superfood that's just really high in antioxidants, a little bit like blueberries, and you could of course use blueberries in your green smoothie. Mesquite is another kind of superfood powder that you get that's quite high in calcium and magnesium, so I like to use that one when there's a bit of nervous exhaustion, or if I think that calcium intake's a little bit low in the diet. Coconut oil is another great additive. So again, it will depend on the weather, whether you can just kind of pour it in there, or, you know, and it will depend on your blender. But if you've got a high-speed blender, even if you're putting it in solid, it should actually put it through. But coconut oil has an excellent balance of fat, so it's got kind of a good blend of kind of saturated fat. It's got lauric acid, which is really good for antifungal properties, so it's quite a good one to have in the diet. If you want to make your green smoothie creamy, add some cashews in. They blend pretty well. You often don't have to pre-soak them if you've got a good enough blender. If your blender's a bit average, then yeah, maybe pre-soak them before you put them in. But if you chuck in like a small handful of cashews, it just gives it a creaminess. It's really nice. And then you could use coconut water in place of water as well, which has just got more electrolytes. Tastes quite nice if you do like a bit of a pina colada kind of thing, where you might do pineapple, coconut water, and then greens in there. So here are a few of my favorite recipes. So banana berry is really nice. Banana's generally a good one to use in a green smoothie. It does make it a little bit creamier, and it does kind of go with most things. So if you throw in a banana, a half a cup of frozen berries, fresh or frozen in fact. However, do try and get them organic if you can. Berries are one of the things that have the highest levels of pesticides and herbicides. There's a brand in the supermarket of organic ones. I think they're from New Zealand, and they're not too bad. And if you get them on special, you know, it's quite cost effective. And about a cup of baby spinach, which is roughly, I think, you know, like a couple of small handfuls, and then water, and then you just blend it up. So that one's quite nice. Kiwi lime is really good, and kiwi lime kind of helps to break through the bitterness of the green. So if you've got something like silver beet or something that's a little bit more intense, and it's good to chuck some kiwi or pineapple or lime in it, or lemon. It kind of helps just with the flavour. But if you throw the kiwi fruit in with the skin on, and some of you that know me will know that kiwi fruit with the skin on is going to really help your gut. And although it's a little bit furry, if you've got a good blender, that'll just blend right through. An apple, and if you've got a high-speed blender like a Vitamix, you can actually throw the whole apple in there. So I take out the stem, but throw the core in and everything, and just blend that all up. A lime peeled, so if you peel the outside of the lime, try and leave a bit of the white pith on if you can. The white pith of citrus is actually really high in vitamin C and antioxidants, potentially even more so than the flesh. So when I peel my citrus, I just try and kind of peel the outside of the peel on. You can leave a little bit of peel on the outside. It's just really strong in flavour, but it's super high in antioxidants. And then chuck in some kale and some water and blend it up. Pine passion fruit I like because I love the tang of passion fruit, and again, it's a really good one to kind of hide the green. So there's no kind of exact science to this. You can really kind of play around with it and go, yeah, you know, I really like that combination, or I really like pineapple in my green smoothies. You'll have your different ones, and you will get your good days and your bad days. You'll get days where you'll be like, oh, that was amazing, I did a great job with that, and then you'll get other days where you'll be like, oh, that's a bit average, and you have to kind of choke it down. So you'll get better at it as you go along, but it's a good thing to kind of practice and try out different combinations, and sometimes it will be just what's left in the fridge. So if you want to go one step further, you can actually blend your greens with vegetables, okay? So this kind of has the advantage that there's no carbohydrates. It would be better, you know, more just different nutrients and more alkalizing potentially. So if you are avoiding sugars, or if you have problems like candida or bacterial overgrowth in the gut, then a veggie green smoothie can be a really good thing to kind of add in there. So there's a few different recipes there. There's stuff which has like celery and cucumber. The green Mary is really nice. If you've got a good quality blender, throwing in whole tomatoes and celery and lemon and a little bit of salt and pepper and chili is a really good way, like a Virgin Mary kind of thing. And to be honest, if you are going to be having a few drinks, it wouldn't be bad to have a Bloody Mary version of that with all of those whole foods in it. It would actually probably be one of the healthiest ways to have a few drinks as you're getting in those antioxidants at the same time. And at the bottom there's just apple cucumber, which was quite nice, just kind of mild in flavour. So that's the webinar for today. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes if you have any questions. The one thing that I do get asked a lot is, well, how long can you store them for? Like, do you have to make it and then drink it straight away? So my advice on that is to actually, if you've got like a good glass container, I like to use a glass bottle that either had like a pasta sauce or something like that in it, and clean it out and actually put it in a jar and keep it in the fridge. That'll keep, for a good part of the day. If you're adding like citrus into there, like pineapple or citrus or pineapples and limes and lemons and things, it does actually keep quite well too. So just kind of play around with it. But I think it's a great thing to kind of make a big batch in the morning and maybe have a little bit there and then take it to work with you and then have some throughout the day. It's an excellent kind of snack food that you could do, and it's an excellent adjuvant to a detox as well. Quite often I'm recommending, if people are detoxing, to have like a superfood smoothies or green smoothies, even in place of meals, and you might have them with chia seeds and stuff in it just to kind of fill you up a bit more. But that's an excellent way to get some extra nutrition in. So no questions. So thanks for joining me today for this webinar. If you do have any questions, you can add them in the box below on the YouTube replay, and they'll get sent to me, and I'm prepared to answer them. And thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.